But with that, let me also set the tone for our next panel discussion. Well, I'll tell you something. This panel discussion will actually delve into an exciting convergence of art and technology. You know, when we look at concept to reality in game development, it's a fascinating journey. And which is why the entire panel will also be focusing on the powerful role of AVGC, particularly visual effects, and how it plays in shaping immersive gaming experiences. What we're going to do is bring on board some amazing set of speakers, the who's who of the industry, and we're going to have a broader vision in terms of understanding the whole game of innovation and growth, especially around the game development. This session will be spearheaded by Vinish Bawa, partner PwC. So without any further delay, let me go ahead and invite Vinish first up to please come on stage so that you and we will also welcome your amazing set of panelists. Ladies and gentlemen, we have with us Ashish Kulkarni, founder, Punnaryug Artvision. We have with us Laxmi Khanolkar, co-founder and CEO, Apar Games. And we have with us none other than Siddhartha Roy, Chief Executive Officer, Hungama. Ladies and gentlemen, can we make some noise? And let's welcome our amazing set of panelists as we move from concept to reality, harnessing AVGC in game development. Again, a befitting panel that awaits us. With that, Vinish, over to you.
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much. First of all, it's really exciting to see such a large audience for a gaming event. I was myself personally surprised and, positively surprised to see that. And it's great to see this growing industry. So since morning, what have we heard? We have heard about, the market, 2.3 billion going to 8 billion in the next 5 years. We've heard about India being, leading this whole industry. There are so many new developments happening from a technological front. So the market is there, the potential is there, the scope is there, things are developing, unicorns are coming out of India, everything positive. But is that so? I mean, I'm sure as things move, there would be some ground challenges, there would be some critical issues to handle. So today's panel, I think the whole idea is to get into those ground issues to see how all this becomes reality. From concept is fine, but how India really gets into the global stage of becoming a superpower in this whole industry. So you've heard about AVGC, animation, visual effects, gaming, comic. This terminology, we'll hear more about that. I also learned, the term was founded by Mr. Ashish here. He'll talk more about that. So, how this term actually came up. So we have a great panel here. I think to start off with, what we'll do is we'll just do a quick intro and then get into the details, nitty-gritty about all these issues, how to handle that, how do we get across this to make this whole thing a reality and India a superpower in this space. So just to introduce myself, I'm Vinish Bawa, partner with PwC, handling the telecom sector as part of TMT. Really excited to be here and looking forward for the panel discussions. Siddhartha.
Hi, morning. I'm Siddhartha Roy. I'm the CEO at Hungama. We've obviously got interest across entertainment, video, and gaming, and would love to share some of our thoughts today. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here. I am Laxmi. I am founder, CEO, Apar Games. We develop casual and hybrid casual games, narrative-based games, and puzzle is our forte. That's what we are passionate about. And yeah, we also do gamification to solve specific business problems. So yeah, so that's what I do. And
thank you. Thanks a lot for having me here. My name is Ashish Kulkarni. I'm the founder of Punnaryug Artvision Private Limited and also Screenyug Creations Private Limited. I'm on the Government of India's task force for the policy for animation, gaming, visual effects, comics, and XR. I was the one who coined this word in 2000, and we never knew that it will become so big over the period of time. Having said that, in fact, we have also initiated policies in 12 states so far. And 7 states have an active policy, and 5 states the draft policy is ready for AVGC XR, and 11 more states that we are working with at this point in time.
Excellent. I think you should patent also this name, so since you invented it, so it'll be a good patent to have. So, Indian government, we hear the ambition is to make India a hub, a global center of innovation for gaming. That's one. There are various policies coming in, at the central level, at the state level, to make sure that in the next few years, this is where India goes, right? In terms of technological advancement, in terms of how much growth happens in this industry. But we also hear there are some challenges around skill development. There are some challenges around how the technology is evolving. There are some challenges around recognition of this, industry in the overall scheme of things. Do Is it like a mass market, like people want to become engineers? Do kids want to become, experts in AVGC or gaming? That's one thing. What is the, in terms of policies, is there a common framework or is it a statewide, is it different for each state? How are we encouraging startups? So there are all these questions that are, sort of to be answered. So Ashishji, let me start with you to a point that what is the main driving force behind AVGC's policies that have been adopted so far? And what is the overall direction that the government is taking? We'll just love to hear on that.
So it's it's a long story, but we'll have to concise it because, initially when we used to go to MIPCOM, MIPTV and Kidscreen and all these markets to really look for work and then also look at the co-production, people used to ask us whether your country has a co-production treaty, whether your country has co-production fund, and whether some people also said whether your country anyway have policy. And then we came back, and every time I came back, I went and spoke to INB Ministry and few others, and we said we need to do all these things. And it has taken us a long time, couple of decades plus, but today the government thinks that the new age ecosystem and the white paper that I wrote in 2005, that India requires an IIT IIM kind of an institution for AVGC. Now that Center of Excellence is coming up in Mumbai, and we've just taken possession of the land at INB Ministry given by Government of Maharashtra in the Film City. And a new institute is coming up on the lines of IIT IIM, which is specifically for AVGC XR. And it's a big thing for India. So it's a statement from India that, we are looking at this sector very seriously. More so that we look at the global creative content economy and the whole digital content ecosystem. Both of them flooded with the content that has been created by people who are professionals and people who are not professionals as well. But how do you really see that you become a powerhouse? And that's where the policy looks at, whether it looks at the animation, visual effects, gaming, comics, as well as the XR individual verticals. Within gaming, it's a very big sector for us because we believe that out of the total media and entertainment space, we are presently around 27% of AVGC XR, and gaming happens to be the biggest one. Thus, in the next 7 to 10 years, it may cross about 50% in the overall scheme of things. And people have to realize that because we are not about, the heroes, and people go with the heroes' face, and, the whole ecosystem is working around the films. But today, that scenario is going to change, and in the next 5 to 7 years, that is going to change immensely. And that's what people have to realize. And gaming as a single vertical will be the largest vertical compared in any of the verticals within media and entertainment space, including film, television, OTT. So the policy has to support that. And within the gaming ecosystem, we have casual gaming to console gaming to a whole lot of things to, we call it RMG plus, esports and other verticals. Each vertical through the policy needs to have a level playing field and has a potential to grow. Now, how do we really look at this to grow? One is the skill development. We need to have people, and that's the toughest thing to do because the parents feel that their kids might get into a different scheme of things. We need to convince the universities not to work in silos of arts and sciences and technology separately, but look at creative arts and sciences to put together, or creative arts and technology put together as a vertical. At the same time, we need to enter into the school education. If you don't enter into the school education, you will be very late in, getting the complete ecosystem evolving around the nurturing of kids to look at this space because they are late entrants. So we would like to be with the national education policy starting very early in life, introduce these subjects to them, and like you prepare them for engineering, medical, we want to prepare them for gaming and animation, visual effects and storytelling in the new age ecosystem. So you have a regular pathway. Second is that infrastructure has to be right for us, and it has to be competing with the other countries, which we are doing quite well at this point in time. But not only about the education, skilling and infrastructure, but we need to encourage people to do the startups and support them with different programs, which probably we can discuss a little later. At the same time, there has to be ease of doing business. And that's why the 100% FDI is allowed into our space. And we need to ensure that we actually are going to the next step. But the industry which is along with this, which is for the AVGC, is the cloud ecosystem and also the rendering ecosystem that we require, and working out of the cloud licensing policy. Many of these are going to be, the part of the policy itself. And then you need to have money to create content and encourage people to create content. So it's the balance between the services business and also the IP business, and how much IP can we convert from India into the global ecosystem or make it marketable. I think these are all constituents of the policy. And then there are lesser versions, because all these activities are going to happen in states. So states wants to have a share of this. Many states who wanted to become film states, who could not become film states, can definitely become AVGC XR states, and they can deliver from there. So I think that's a big opportunity for the states. So they are also coming up with an incentive for people to come and start ecosystem there.
Excellent. I think very pertinent points you mentioned. One, these policies are being looked into in this level of detail, especially with gaming. You said, interestingly, is highest out of all this in terms of percentage, and I think we also spoke about 2x in terms of revenue, 2.5x in terms of global revenue also, right, and growing more. So that's so important to have policies specifically around gaming and skill development. Obviously, universities having especially these kind of courses. So all those, but good part is the government is thinking in the right direction. I think the intent is there, and we'll obviously hear more around all of that.
See, 2 years ago, Prime Minister mentioned about AVGC XR and defined it. But this time he spoke from the Red Fort on the 15th August, and animation and gaming and design in India and create in India was, talked about from there. And that's a very big statement that India is making, that we are serious about this industry.
No, excellent. So Laxmi, let's move to you. Started this company so many years ago and one of the old founders in this space. In your view, how has the AVGC sector evolved over the years, especially in terms of gaming? What's the evolution been and what's the journey been so far?
Sure. I'll talk from the gamer perspective first. So we have seen tremendous amount of gamers who are actually playing games and spending a sizable amount of time into the game. That has increased. Interestingly, the male versus female ratio is also becoming almost 50-50. It's still slightly skewed towards male, but it is absolutely seeing it is almost similar. So this is very positive point. Another very interesting point is that post-COVID, we have seen that people have started investing into games which are free in nature and predominantly either premium games, like you buy the game outright and play. Basically, these games which are played for the entertainment perspective, where the gamer comes to the game with the motivation, the primary motivation to play the game is to have entertainment. And the business and the monetization strategies developer have are in-app purchases, ad-based revenue, and premium game thing. And what we are seeing is that people are doing the IAPs in-app purchases, and they're also investing into premium games, which is a very positive thing. This has given an opportunity for many indie developers, many indie studios prop up, post and pre-COVID. This, I think, is a very interesting scene at the moment, that this is going to put a lot of innovative content out there in the market for gamers to experience. So this is how things are changing.
So in terms of technology evolution also, you have seen new technologies coming up
Absolutely.
in gaming and being adopted, coming out of India as well, right?
Absolutely. I think gaming is one field which adopts technology like this. Like AI, we are using it to benefit ourselves. And I absolutely don't find that AI will take away any artist's job or anything. That will never happen. It is just going to, this is what I believe, this is just going to put you in, it's just going to make you do things differently and better. So it's just,
I'll come to that in a while as well. I want to talk more about the local content also. But Siddhartha, let me move to you now. India wanting to become an innovation hub in gaming. That's all good to hear. But what's the trend? Are we moving towards that direction? What are the emerging technologies in this space, and what's your view? You are leading content company in the country, so we'd love to hear more on that.
So let me actually take from where Laxmi left off, which was specifically with regards to Gen AI and AI itself. I believe the way we need to look at AI in our business is going to make the cost of making our product a lot more cheaper. It could be in terms of time, it could be in the terms of effort, it could be in terms of compute, but look at AI as actually enabling the business of what we're going to go out and create. With regards to what Vinish put out, let me actually lay out the core stack in the overall India opportunity. The fact that we've got 600 million people on data, our AVGC or the gaming ecosystem is actually a mobile ecosystem. It will remain a mobile ecosystem. The fact that there are three core components that drive this. Data, we've got data out there. We're a large consuming data country. The fact that today an average data customer in India is consuming 13 gigs of data, that is actually unheard of anywhere in the world. And as a company, Hungama, we work over in 40 plus countries, and I can tell you, we are really guzzling data, and that's great for gaming or any kind of AVGC product. So that's one. Second, the device ecosystem, which is our mobile devices, that continues to get a lot more compute heavy, which means what we call as core cloud gaming, actually people are already starting to do that. It's just that more and more devices are going to open publishers to be able to build a lot more immersive content, okay? And the third part is what I call about the fact that is the Indian consumer ready to pay, which was what Laxmi was stating. And we believe that that is starting to happen because if you've looked at video and you look at an OTT ecosystem today, we're talking roughly about 150 million people already paying for some form of an OTT service. We believe that in the next 2 years will go to upwards of 300 million, okay? Now, if that is happening, the ecosystem, the fact that the government of India has given us UPI is a phenomenal ecosystem that's been given to us for even the gaming community to be able to use that in form of being able to get consumers to pay. The other big play, which you know, Vinish, more than me, is the fact is that our GDP is going to double over the next 3 to 4 years. What we've done in the last 50, we're going to do in the next 4. There's going to be so much of money in consumers' hands, which will be spent on entertainment, lifestyle, health, fitness. And in entertainment, gaming is a very core component of what even Ashish was saying, the fact that it's currently 27%, but of the entire entertainment pie, make no mistake that gaming is going to become the biggest pie. The fact that video and gaming, because of AVGC, are merging is a core reality. Some of the best stories are actually told in games. It's a myth that it's not a creative engine. It's out and out a creative engine as much as it can be. And that's why the government and the team that's put together the AVGC policy itself is working towards going out and actually creating the 2 million plus jobs over the next 3 to 4 years. And to me, that's where the entire cradle of the business is. So what software did, what India did to software 20, 25 years back is what AVGC is going to do, and gaming is going to be one of the biggest beneficiaries of that core ecosystem.
Interesting statistics you mentioned, and especially with India being one of the fastest mobile growth markets, the data consumption increasing, the data prices are already very low. So this further encourages, the usage of gaming on mobile devices. That's, anyways, it's staggeringly, 93% usage is on mobile devices, right? So it's going to help further growth. In fact, coming from the telco world, when we talk about 5G monetization, 6G use cases, top of the charts is always gaming and VFX. So that's always top of the charts, that how can 5G help gaming? How can 6G help
There is
gaming?
actually no other use case.
Exactly.
Probably that's the only use case, which is under which paradigm that you've got obviously telecom companies spending that kind of money, because how do you go out and get more data consumed? Video up 3, you talk about 2K, 4K, whatever, at the end of the day, video delivery is based on bits and bytes. I'm telling a story, I can't tell that story any more differently. It's in gaming that you're able to get in a lot more immersive, get a lot more deeper.
No, even practical examples, if I give somebody's playing game at home and your Wi-Fi is not fast, high-speed Wi-Fi, the whole house missed, the teenage kids start making noise, ki the person couldn't kill the other person in that whatever that game was. So it's led to an actual increase of high-speed broadband just because of that one use case. And these are practical examples we hear from a lot of our customers, in the market, like the Airtels and Jios and everybody. So it is interesting to see all this dynamics happening. So Ashish ji, let's switch gears now on the policy part you mentioned and you explained everything. Startup ecosystem is super critical in all this ways, right? So what policies and what's the government doing around encouraging the startup ecosystem in the AVGC field? And you mentioned about the Center of Excellence in Mumbai and others. Just tell us more about that. I'm sure everybody will want to hear more on that.
The Center of Excellence is a unique place where we have, we're starting with the finishing school, which will then expand into undergrad and masters and research programs as well. But having said that, we will have a huge ecosystem around the industry mobilization itself. So it will become a hub and spoke model between the state-owned Center of Excellences and the National Center of Excellence. So we are encouraging states to pick up, somebody to do the gaming Center of Excellence, somebody to do the visual effects Center of Excellence, and then that support will come from the National Center of Excellence. It will be working on a hub and spoke model. It's going to be the first facilitation center, so anybody and everybody who would like to probably get into this industry or any stakeholder wants to know, you can reach out to the Center of Excellence and start from there. It's got an incubation center as well. And we are talking to the universities to start research into the AVGC XR space and support the creation of technology in our space, which is an indigenous technology. And I think that's going to be the next big thing, that we want some of the technologies to come from here. And for many states, we would like to create a kind of a hub where studios can plug in work out of the cloud with the common infrastructure. And in animation and visual effects, the rendering is the very big issue. And that's something which can be taken up. And licensing is another issue which is going to be solving this problem. The basic understanding that we need to really see is that in the last 20 years, India started as a services center, and then it started doing IP as well into some areas, but it's still dominated by services as of today. What used to be a cost arbitrage in the favor of India till 2009-10 eventually moved to China and Vietnam and Malaysia and few other countries, Indonesia and all. But people who wanted to look at a quality arbitrage came back to India. And today they are making decisions that if you want to have a right quality at a right pricing, India is the country to work with. And if you've seen after COVID, we had, Frame Store, biggest visual effects company from UK move here. We have Industrial Light and Magic, we have Digital Domain, all of them moved into India with their own thing. So whether you are a biggest company worldwide, you actually are directly either here or you are here with your partner. So it's become inevitable for us to see that, we cannot play that game with the right foundation. We need to have a right foundation. And I think the next future for the next 5-6 years is going to look at how do you create a National Center of Excellence and Center of Excellences in every single state, where you make it possible for people to make their careers into their state, in their vicinity, and you have infrastructure possibly there, and also the school and university ecosystem for them to learn in their own state and contribute from there. So that's the effort that we are looking at.
And then this will also help the local content development. That's the percentage we want to increase in terms of the local content, right? So all this will lead to that.
So the thing is that today you will see the major games that are coming out, they're actually having a very interesting animation designers and comic book designers working on that. India is right now dominated by the anime form of storytelling from Japan, and the K-pop and even the live action Korean series are doing extremely well. We needed to really see how do you create the Indian stylization, and I think animation is the tougher part to do it. Visual effects, it will happen easier, and I believe the collaboration between comic book creators and animation creators with gaming companies can take it to the gaming ecosystem much faster than otherwise, because that's a B2C play which is available, and I think that is more engaging than anything else. So I see earlier people used to make a series and let it work and then make a game. I see the gaming go first and then series will happen eventually.
Interesting. And Lakshmi, let me come to that. You heard about, the policies being developed around that, importance of the skilling, etc. But there are gaps in skilling, right? I mean, there are practically speaking, there are issues around skilling and for us to get to that level. So what are the 2-3 critical skill gaps that you see, and what do you think that should come from the government to overcome those gaps?
Sure. I think Center of Excellence is an excellent news. So this is interesting. But what we have seen, so we have excellent artists, we have excellent programmers. But what gaming requires is the mixture of both. And we do not find that talent, okay? Interestingly, I am actually an artist. I'm a commercial artist from JJ School of Arts. And then after that, I did my programming course because, I don't know, for some reason, because I was playing my Sega Mega Drive and I knew how to draw that character, but then I did not know that when I press a button, how does that jump? And at that time, we did not have Google to actually check what that was. And I said, okay, there is some programming course happening. Someone told me it's programming, so I did that. And that's the reason I'm saying, because then that's the reason it puts me into a very unique position where I understand I'm creative and also I understand technology. And we predominantly lack in this sector, like people, you can call them as technical artists or something. And this is a very specialized course. Then another thing is game design. And I would really like to use this platform and let everybody know, if you do not know us, game design has nothing to do with game art. These are two different things. Game design is essentially the rule set, the thought process, all of that, which doesn't really have to be a designing part of it. Game design also involves math. Like if you are a math major, you could probably become a game designer, because in games, you have a game economy, you have what price point should I sell my product, my in-app purchase to. So there are so many such skill sets which are currently people are learning on the job, or we are training actually them to do it. And if that could be catered, at the grassroots level, things would be much faster for us to then create games. This is one. And secondly, I also feel that gaming as a business, this kind of a mindset still lacks somewhere. Maybe because the way we are saying we are predominantly a services industry, our mindset is still service-oriented. And that has to somewhat, we have to actually make that shift in the mindset the earlier as we can. That can help the industry. Yeah. Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, sorry, just one more thing. So in the West, we've often seen that there are collaborative buildings or things where everybody's game developer working on different games, and they actually collaborate together and work. And I think if we could somehow create that environment, what he was saying, that a gaming IP going to the other, and the other maybe a comic IP coming to games, that collaboration can even flourish even better. This is what I believe.
I think the services side has the IP responsibility and cyber responsibility and many other things, apart from the right delivery and timing. But when you actually get into intellectual property creation or create products, the overall responsibility framework is much larger. You need to be a responsible gamer. You need to look at the psychology of people who are playing the game. You need to make sure that you're complying with laws of the country and cyber laws and everything. The issue is that some of these areas as a faculty is absent with us. And India had a diktat that if you are doing an undergrad program, you have to be taught by masters. And if you're doing a master's program, the PhDs have to come and teach you. Right. And we brought in a change in the regulation that the professor of practice and a faculty of practice is now allowed for us, for our verticals, to come and teach. But then even that professor of practice, in many cases, as of today, is not available in India. So we need to consciously bring them from outside, make sure that we create those kind of products under their experience, and also groom these teams, and education ecosystem is built under that regime. I think some collaboration in this with the gaming industry will have to be brought in.
I mean,
So,
to
yeah,
take from what Lakshmi was saying as well, we've been doing that, and she's right. There is a gap on GDD, which is game design. I mean, it's like this when you're playing Mario, why should the mushroom come up there? There's a science behind it. Why should a duck come up there, which is now going to chase you back, which gets you to jump? That's actually game design. There's science behind it. And that entire thing, because the first round of work for hire, which as a company we also got back in our studio in Hyderabad as well, used to be what I'd call would be I wouldn't call it the bottom of the pyramid, but largely would be aligned to doing 2D, 3D design, or you would be doing core coding. And it's now that we're starting to get a lot more deeper quality work. So quality work, and what you're saying is absolutely right. They've gone visited other parts of the world, and they've come back saying India has the ability to give both of them in a pretty interesting mix. So that's starting to happen. Having said that, to be very fair, we've been using for our own IPs, we do a mix of international GDD teams. There are people available. They come in, they work with you, train with you on your IP, and are able to then guide that process. And there are various very interesting ways for you to actually align with these entities and these individuals. So it's not a work for hire or this thing. They can come and become part of your project. There's a lot more that you can do in the way you create. It's like exactly like how you would set up a film or you'd set up a TV series. You're actually setting up a game-related IP as well.
So I think just on this topic, everybody, all of you spoke about so passionately about the skill gap. So I think what it needs is, what I hear, is a framework around, you know, the gaming as a education system, pretty much, right? I mean, there has to be courses around it. There has to be some, you know, almost like a BSc in gaming, something like that. So that's where all this thing will evolve, and some policies around.
We are going a little ahead of that.
Right.
We are getting government to approve of bachelors in graphic arts, bachelor in game art, bachelor is in creative arts and sciences is another degree which will be holistic degree. So we are telling the university ecosystem, including UGC, that we need to really come up with this. More so, we are working with AICTE to create a 3-year diploma program after 10th, because many kids don't want to go for 11th and 12th. So for them, you have a 3-year diploma program with the credit banking ecosystem, and they could actually go and work with the industry and come back and do a lateral entry into the second year of degree program. Because they have done 3 years here and they have got those credits. So the credit banking ecosystem is very effectively used. And there is another ecosystem that is started by the Ministry of Higher Education called Swayam Plus, which is built by IIT Madras and KPMG together. And you should visit that, where if you are studying in a university and you don't have, say, game design in your university, and you want to do a minor or major, you can go to Swayam Plus and do it from there and transfer the credits. So we would encourage people who understand the space to come and post the programs there and actually make it available for kids in India to get those programs and get a credit transfer.
No, interesting. I didn't know about all this, so this is great to hear all of this. Right? Siddhartha, let me ask you around, you know, the AVGC. They are all interworking, right? They're supposed to interwork, help gaming grow, and then take with the local content in India. If all this ties up together, it can go international. So what's happening in this regard, and your view of companies like yourself, you know, how are they leading in this
so
space?
actually, let's talk about film. Why do I keep going to film? You need to understand that AVGC has a very important part, and only increasingly will have a lot more important part in the film business. Some of the biggest IPs actually are animation-based IPs. We're all aware of that. Avatar, which you've right now seen, we're aware of how it's been created, okay? From the way the gene of the story and how it's been created. In the same way, gaming, the beauty about gaming is gaming has no language. So the fact is you get an IP out, you have the ability to reach out to the world, and with payments, in-app, the entire ad ecosystem, which may not be extremely I'd say extremely, from a margins perspective, valuable from an India model, because there is so much of supply of inventory in gaming, and there would be less dollars chasing that inventory, but global markets offer you very, very good deals on gaming. So from there, that perspective, the overall in-app ecosystem is there. The other very interesting part of this entire program is that, look, it's not about just making one game. And that's what we've heard. We've got the analogy of Rovio, the guys who built out Angry Birds. Angry Bird was actually the 30th IP. And today, the Angry Bird IP outside of the game is actually more valuable, which is they've done films, they've got theme parks, they've got merchandising. There's a lot that happened with that IP, but it was the 30th IP from that game studio. It was not the first. So you need to understand where you can take your IP, how you're seeing consumers come in and start consuming that, and then build from there a lot more deeper. And at the end of the day, it's a product. So the product is living and breathing. It's not like aapne picture bana di, you've gone on release and now you're sitting and you have nothing. You cannot go out and try and solve for a opportunity out there. In gaming, it allows you, because the next build itself can release 3 different levels, which makes for an interesting gameplay.
Interesting analogy on Angry Birds. I was like surprised when you mentioned, but when you think about it, it's a great, story of starting from a small game to having amusement parks around just Angry Birds. It's a phenomenal. Look at the merchandise and everything. So, that's a great success story to think about. So your views on this, the VFX and animation, technologically it's growing a lot, right? And what are you seeing? What are the new trends in that space and how will it help gaming? I wanted to get your view on from
I
government
see,
standpoint.
there was an era where people used to shoot films, the filmmakers, and then they used to come to us and say that, oh, please enhance this film, do something, some visual effects, and give it. Today, the writers and the directors are planning a visual effects film. So we are a part of script writing, and we work from the script writer point of view. Is entirely different. The screenplay is written with complete visual effects in space, and that space to be understood by them, the actors, the photogrammetry guys, to everything. And all these tools have been used by Indian filmmakers even today. In fact, I was in South India for the last 2-3 weeks because we have done the policy in Tamil Nadu and Kerala, and we're doing Andhra Pradesh right now. And the directors and producers are talking about a 300 crore film and a 500 crore film to be made with visual effects. And surprisingly, what used to be like 2 or 3% of the budget used to come to visual effects. Then it went to 7%. Right now, they're talking about 35% of the budget going to visual effects. So what's happening is that the gaming ecosystem is inbuilt into the story, right in the film story itself. So we see a large amount of them will release the games probably first, then comes the movie, because movie will take a longer period to build. And I think I see there is a synergy that is going to happen between AVGC, XR, where people are going to have experiences created not only as a film or as a game, but that will be cutting across the ecosystem. And I think that's the future, where you engage with your audience and create fan base with that ecosystem.
Sure. And Laxmi, your views, because you must be developing for the future new games, etc. So how much is the importance of VFX and the whole animation growth and development in this space from your perspective?
So as I was saying earlier, that because India has started playing games roughly, we can say, since 2016, right? So if you compare us to the West, India has been consuming content over mobile, and it has not yet become mature like the West. So there's an immense amount of opportunity for different kind of content to be created, right? And that is why you will also see a lot of indie titles coming up. And why I'm stressing upon this indie, because indie gives you a freedom of expression. So I can actually create a game that I want to create, right? So if I'm working on a premium monetization strategy, I can create what I want to create. And when that happens, and if that can be essentially be backed by the fund that I might need to create, I can create a game which is, there is a recent game called Wukong, right? And that is a massive game with an amazing, the quality is excellent, and that can happen, and that is where this whole, and we are here, I mean animators are here, the visual effect artists are here. Why wouldn't the games would be using it? They would. They just right now not expanding their horizon. It's just because there are few propelling factors that you're just needing, and once that happens, that's what's going to happen. So I think gamers are going. Gaming is the one industry which is going to use up all the animators and VFX artists to the fullest, I feel.
It's interesting to learn that the A and the V part is so critical for for gaming to rise. You have some comments, Siddhartha?
So I would like to just make a simple point that the whole factor of the storytelling and making it engaging is going to be the future. And how do you really see? So as a kid, my parents were knowing what information system I was exposed to. But today's parents don't know what their kids are exposed to. And, what worked in India for the last 10 years in terms of television animation might not work for the next 5 years also. Because the kids are exposed to so much of different kind of streaming ecosystem, and they are consuming content which is globally created. So we have no option but to have a right policy and the right creation framework so that we are competing globally now.
I want to extend this answer. So my daughter is 10 years old now. So this is her 9th last year. The 9th birthday, she made me create a gaming arcade in our house, and the return gift was the Robux. Robux is basically, it's a Roblox, the game called Roblox, which is like a multiplayer, it's a world in itself, and that's the currency, that's the money that you use it in, and that was my return gift. So imagine what is happening, at the kids' space. So.
And it's the same thing. You see the soft power that K-pop and Korean dramas brought into this country. I mean, we may have a very large of our own content, but there is this content that's come in, and today there are international brands coming in because they believe India is already turning out to be one of the emerging markets for these categories of content. And this has come out of exactly what the two other panelists are saying, that it's come out of the fact that there is a consumer. He's a kid, or teen, they're consuming this content, and now there are businesses that are being built because demand aa gayi hai. Demand create ho gayi hai because it's global. It's global content. It actually has no language. And then you're building for that.
No, interesting, and I'm seeing the time's up. I encourage all of you to just meet, and if you have any questions to ask later on. But just to summarize, I think what did we hear? We heard government is doing great amount of stuff in terms of policy making, in terms of central state policies around having gaming as a centralized process, as a encouraging the startups around skill development, around having courses. So there is some great work happening in the government. At least it's on the top of the agenda. So that's one thing definitely we heard. The whole AVGC, the animation, visual effects, super critical in terms of, evolution of gaming from India, using local content, and very soon we'll see more and more of local content being adapted globally. I think that's what we would see happening. I think in terms of trend issues, I think skill development we heard as probably the critical one, which has to be addressed more and more. But that's something that all of us, in the room here need to think about. How do we address this issue and grow more on that? But other than that, I think I would see next year maybe this becomes more of an international conference, because the way the gaming is growing and the way India is going global in terms of center of excellence and stuff. So looking forward for having this as a bigger international conference probably next year for India. And thanks to all of you. Lovely. I think this could go on and on. I didn't even come to know about the time. I didn't get time for questions, but thanks everybody. Thanks for the great discussion.
Thank you so much.